them. But tonight I want to share with you what the problem is, and then what we're trying to do to address the problem, and then ask for your support if you agree with what you hear. First, let me begin by saying that I am an American, born American. I love this country. Muslim Legal Fund of America loves America. This country has a foundation of core values and principles that we all share and that I believe we all love and respect. And I'm speaking about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of association. These are the things that make America great. We have the rule of law, we have due process, equal protection rights. It's our, we have an open, transparent form of government. We have checks and balances where there's oversight, and there's the House, the Congress, the Senate, the executive branch, the judicial branch work together to make sure things are right. It's fair, impartial, blind justice. These are things, core values that have given this country its strength, that has given it its prominence, and will continue to be its strength if upheld. But tonight we're going to talk about things are changing. Things aren't just sitting static. Tonight we're going to talk about America is being reshaped. New ideas are being introduced. New laws are being passed. Old customs, norms, laws are being challenged. A new culture is being introduced and tested. The problem begins with what I want to call as a reaction to 9/11. Probably not the beginning, but it's where it really increased, intensified. After 9/11, the government moved in a direction that challenges our Constitution, the rule of law, rights and liberties, all in the name of security. Right now, there are forces in this country who think security is more important than your rights and your liberties. And I'll quote a famous American, Benjamin Franklin, who once said, if you were to give up an ounce of liberty for an ounce of security, you deserve neither. That's how important these liberties are. Well, right now, in reaction to this security, the government is passing laws that promote secrecy, hiding information, stuff that's not transparent. They are unchecked in powers. There's no oversight, no protections from abuse or negligence or mistakes, increased surveillance, challenging the right to privacy, unchecked without oversight, denying due process, some of the basic fundamentals of this country for 200 years, all in the name of security. We're seeing in courtrooms secret evidence, secret witnesses, anonymous experts, withholding evidence, denying one's right to a trial, indefinite detentions, preemptive prosecutions, thought crimes, and on. Now I want to ask you if you would agree with my summary of the fact that in America today, the Muslim community lives in an environment that could be labeled the politics of fear. How many of you would agree with that statement? We live in a society today in America that could be summarized as the politics of fear. And with this politics of fear, we have unwarranted scrutiny, excessive surveillance, arbitrary detentions, endless investigations, religious discrimination, and on. What I want to talk to you for in brief, and I need to make this quick and clear, is that the government passing new laws in the name of security is challenging 200 years of freedoms and liberties in this country. And in the courtrooms is where it's happening. In cases that are affecting our community and our community members is where it's happening. How many of you are familiar with the United States Patriot Act of 2001? How many of you have heard of it? How many of you read it? Wow. Really? In this law, or this act, had many laws, and one of them is referred to as the Material Support Statute. Anybody heard of that? The Material Support Statute is defined as, in the following terms. Any U.S. citizen or resident of the United States cannot provide material support to a designated terrorist or a terrorist organization, right? So with that definition, do you understand what material support is? Material support, I'll give you a better definition. Material support is any monetary, weapons, training, advice, what's the word? Personnel, anything that would benefit a terrorist organization or further a terrorist organization's cause. So you can't provide that as a citizen to anybody in the world who's designated or any organization. With that definition, are we clear? Right? So let's take a test. Khalil Meek leaves tomorrow. I get on a plane. I decide I want to go to Somalia. In Somalia, I see there's suffering people, there's people that need help, and I want to open a charity. Tomorrow morning, I hang a sign on my door. I fly into Somalia. I don't speak the language. I know nobody there. I put a sign up that says, if you're hungry, come eat. Tomorrow, I feed 200 people. Alhamdulillah. After feeding 200 people, finished. Somebody comes up to me and says, Khalil, do you know that 3 people who came today and ate your food are associated with an organization called Al-Shabaab, who happens to be designated? I fed 3 terrorists. Is that material support?
Yes.
You guys are tough. All right, let's say question number 2. I'm still in Somalia. I decide I need a haircut. I still don't speak the language, but I look around, I see a barber pole. I walk up to the shop, I point to my hair. Guy points to the chair. I sit down, he cuts my hair. He holds up 10 fingers, I give him $10. Assalamu alaikum. I pick up the newspaper after my haircut, and I see a picture of my barber. I read the article, and it says he's associated with Al-Shabaab. I gave him $10. Is that material support? Uh-oh, we're getting some waffling. All right, this is the last question. This is the last one. I decide I want to give a piece of my mind to this Al-Shabaab. I ask who's in charge. They point them out. I go up to them. I say, Assalamu alaikum. I say, sir, it's my opinion that you should find a peaceful solution, that your acts may be causing more harm than good. I think all conflict ends in peace. The sooner you find that solution, the better. Here's some advice of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Here's the advice of Jesus, peace be upon him. Here's the advice of Gandhi. Here's Jimmy Carter. Here's the best roadmap to peace ever. Please follow it. Assalamu alaikum. I gave advice to a terrorist. Is that material support?
Yes.
Wow. All of these questions have been asked to the court, and actually the government was asked by large charities, big organizations operating all over the world, serving humanity. They have no politics. They're concerned about the law. They want clarification. How do we behave? What is the? We're not in this to serve anybody's interest. We're there to serve people. And the government refused to answer. So they sued the government. There was a lawsuit called the Humanitarian Law Project. And this case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the U.S. Supreme Court came back and said, we're not going to clarify the definition any further. We're going to let the Department of Justice use its discretion. And if the Department of Justice thinks what it sees fits the definition of material support, they can indict. They can charge you with the crime. And if they take their argument to a jury and a jury agrees, the jury can convict. You'll get your answer in court. Now, with that much discretion, does anybody here see the opportunity for the Department of Justice to be political in its application of the law? To be arbitrary, capricious, maybe persecute people with this law? Is that possible? It's possible. In fact, what we're seeing is the government in its discretion is trying to move beyond what's common sense and to criminalize nonviolent, lawful activities. They're using this overly broad statute or legislation, and then they're using their opinion, their interpretation, their political discretion, and they're trying to criminalize things like speech, advocacy, protest, dissent, ideology, moving to humanitarian aid, peacemaking activities, distribution of literature, political advocacy, training in human rights, anything they can think of. They're being creative. They're being very creative. If they target an individual, a community, a leader, whatever, they get very creative in how they can put something, in their opinion, to fit this definition. And in fact, they're moving to a realm that we're really going to highlight tonight, and that's called preemptive prosecution. How many know what that means? Preemptive prosecution. We got a lawyer in the house over here. Preemptive prosecution is the government prosecuting somebody before they commit the crime. Now somebody's laughing. This is law enforcement at its best. That means, how many of you saw a movie called Minority Report a few years back? Tom Cruise was in this fictional movie, but it's about the future. In the movie, law enforcement's so smart, they have computers tell them what crimes will be committed before they happen. And they rush to the scene of the would-be crime, arrest the would-be criminal before it happens, no crime in the future. Perfect law enforcement. I'm going to give you an example of this because this is what we're going to talk the rest of the few minutes about, preemptive prosecution. Pretend I'm an expert. Let's say Khalil Meek is an expert on bank robbery. I spent my entire life studying bank robbers. I've studied 200 years of bank robbery. I know everything about a bank robber. I can tell you the profile of a bank robber anywhere I go. And I'm here to share that with you tonight. As an expert on bank robbery, I'm going to tell you the profile of a bank robber. Bank robbers are usually over 30 years old and male. Bank robbers like to wear gray jackets and white jalabs. What's that called? They like to have beards. They have wear funny hats. They attend mosque and lectures at night. Wear black shoes. And have glasses. No offense, but you look like a bank robber. The imam just happens to look like a bank robber. That's not a crime. There's no crime in that at all. Because for there to be any problem, you'd have to put it in a setting, right? Because there'd have to be banks in Detroit. Are there banks in Detroit? You ever been to a bank in Detroit? You have been to a bank. Have you ever opened a checking account?
Online banking.
You know what? Bank robbers sometimes open checking accounts as a pretense to get to know the bank. You're still safe because you don't own a car, right? Bank robbers use cars to get away. You don't own a car, do you? Folks, based on my expert opinion and the facts that we now know, it's my opinion that we should arrest the sheikh tonight before he robs a bank. How many of you agree with that? We laugh, right? Because that seems ridiculous. Let's change the rhetoric. You look like a terrorist. You dress like a terrorist. You've been to a place where terrorists have been. You've met with a terrorist. You shook somebody's hand at one time. You've actually, now that rhetoric seems a lot more serious. You take that to juries who have listened to Fox News, CNN, and their entire life, and you start getting prosecutions that you'll see on this back wall if you leave, or pictures hanging up as you're walking up and down the stairs of over 200 to 300 people who have been prosecuted preemptively. They have never broken the law. And the government has put a theory together and convinced a jury, or tried to convince a jury to convict them, that something bad will happen. In North Carolina, we had, not us, but there was a man who was convicted and the jury read the charges. We, the jury, find the defendants guilty of a conspiracy to provide material support to an unknown terrorist organization at an unknown time in an unspecified place. Tell that to your kids. We're taking his, he defended with another lawyer, we're taking his case because it was so egregious. But I need to share with you tonight that what we're doing, these ideological crimes, people that are being selected because they pray too much, or outspoken leaders, effective educators, strict in their religious practice, manufacturing crimes, agent provocateurs, it's going on everywhere. And tonight, we're going to talk a little bit, the next speaker that's going to come up here, Steve Downs, is going to share with you some work that not only the Muslim Legal Fund is taking, we're taking cases all over this country. We're taking cases, and we see over and over again, I don't have as much time that I'd like, But what we see is when somebody goes to court facing these kind of charges, if you get the best attorneys, the best experts, best preparation, you get to court with the funds that you need to put on a meaningful defense and tell your side of the story, good things happen. All of these charges disappear. It'll come back to a slap on a wrist, a perjury charge, something that's very minor compared to everything that they tried to take to court. But if you go to court and you have a court-appointed attorney, or if you go there without the resources, you represent yourself, not only do you get convicted of everything that goes in, almost always, they enhance the sentencing beyond all the guidelines. So you get the book and the boot. And these are people who have never had a speeding ticket, broken the law, they've raised their kids, they love this country, and they have just been selected, or they have been preemptively prosecuted, or they're having to deal with these issues. You've seen it in Detroit over and over again. And the Muslim Legal Fund has got success when we hire the best attorneys, the best experts, and the people all over this country who can make a difference in the courtroom. And right now, the judges, the juries, and everybody have not made up their mind. They're making it up as we go along. They're setting precedents every day that will affect you and your children and your children's children. Every one of these cases have an impact on all of us about how they can do something next, how they can do next, how can they do next. And every time we win in court, every time we stop something, it's a win for everybody. And these cases are very serious. The work that we're doing, just the Muslim Legal Fund, is being recognized and supported by the entire civil rights and civil liberties community. Organizations like the Center for Constitutional Rights, the Bill of Rights Defense Committee, the National Lawyers Guild, the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, the ACLU, all of them are working with us. We have a project at the University of Texas in Austin called the National Security Defense Project to bring together all the resources for cases like that to make a pro bono clinic to help any criminal defense attorney in the United States. We're the sole funders. We committed $300,000 to the project. All the organizations are supporting it with their weight, and they're telling Muslims, lead, we'll follow. These issues are our issues. In fact, they tell us that we will give as much support as we can because we look at the Muslims today as what they call a canary in a coal mine. Have you ever heard that? What's a little bird, a yellow bird? A canary. You know what that means? Coal miners go underground to dig for coal. When they're digging, sometimes gas can be released. You can't smell the gas, you can't taste the gas. The gas will kill you. You breathe too much of this gas, you're dead. Coal miners have died from digging from coal. But they learned how to solve the problem. They learned that if they take a little yellow bird, a canary, put him in a cage, take him down in the mine with them, the bird can't smell the gas. The bird can't taste the gas. The gas will kill the bird. But if the bird is jumping and playing and singing, no problem. You look up and the bird's dead, the gas got him, and it's, you need to get out. Everybody run. So he's the alarm clock. What they're telling us is, you know, the Muslims, right now we see all these laws, this name of security, all this hyping, and we see that gas. If it, you know, you're the bird, you're the little bird in the room. If it kills you, it's coming for all of us. And we're with you. We're behind you. We're supporting you. We want to do this work on your behalf with you and lead. Tonight, we're asking all of you to help us in that regard. Tonight, we want all of you to think about the people that are being affected by these crimes, people that have families and children that are being torn apart, people that can't join a nice program tonight and listen to a beautiful speech and hear these things and go home to their families. Tonight, let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala soften your hearts. Let Allah give that love and affection, that ikram muslimin, where we love for others what we love for ourselves. That we will do for others. We'll use our liberty for others. We'll use our security for others. When people can't help themselves, when this becomes an issue, we, the community, will stand together and make a difference. But tonight, we've got the legal cases. We've got the clinic. Now what's happened is these national organizations have come together and formed a coalition. It's called the National Coalition to Protect Civil Freedoms. It has the Center for Constitutional Rights. It has the Bill of Rights Defense Committee. It has ICNA. It has MLFA. It has MAS. It has, I don't know how many, 18 organizations? 20 national organizations coming together to put their resources and heads together to do advocacy, to do education, to do lobbying, to do whatever it takes to be effective in this arena. And this coalition is here tonight to tell us about the work that they're doing. They're working on preemptive prosecutions. They're working on family rights. They're working on inhumane treatment of Muslims in prisons. So we are joining forces. We're a founding member with the National Coalition, and we should all join together tonight, inshallah, to make a difference and to be the difference that we all want to see.